Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching En.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Welcome back to the show. Last week, Michelle shared how her love of dice became her business, Phoenix Dice. Today, we're unpacking the highs, lows, and the community that keeps her business growing.
So if we're counting only the United States, then they make up about 50%-ish of my business because most tabletop role-playing games are written by people in the US and published there. And especially the most popular role-playing game ever, Dungeons & Dragons, is US-based. Of course, they're working on translation into various different languages. I believe they've done many, including like Japanese and French and stuff, so that other people around the world can play more easily. But obviously, the culture of it is still very much, centered around the United States.
I was wondering, since you are in this relatively niche industry, what is your impression of the gaming community in Taiwan and, let's say, outside of Taiwan?
It is definitely growing. Taiwan didn't really start playing board games until very recently, I think, because I was here in high school and being a teenager who wanted not to go home and instead wanted to go out and do stuff and, go out, get up to shenanigans. If there were board game cafes, I would have known about it. So I don't think they existed at the time. And it was only until recently, maybe the last 10 years, that they started appearing. And now you can't throw a rock without hitting one, I think. They're everywhere. So it's definitely gaining steam. There are also groups that do live action roleplay, or LARP, that are forming in Taiwan. And a lot of it is, of course, based on Asian history. But you'd be surprised. There are people walking around in full plate armor from medieval European culture here as well now. So it's gaining steam. A lot of fans are picking up here.
I'm curious how you create the designs for your dice. So can you kind of walk us through the process, your creative process? Where do you get inspiration?
Oh, actually, I can't take credit for that. I work with a company who is based in China, and I have a lady. Her name is Sally, and she's a genius when it comes to mixing pigment, and because it does take a lot of knowledge on how these pigments and glitters and chemicals react with one another. You're not just going to have purple if you mix red and blue. It doesn't quite work that way. So yeah, it's not like my elementary level of art is going to be able to do
exactly. Much. I was thinking of that, right? When you mix colors as a kid.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way. If you want certain effects, then you have to actually know how to manipulate the resin or acrylic as well. So the level of technical difficulty there, I will completely give Sally credit for. She comes up with designs, and I basically pick out ones that I like. That's actually how Phoenix Dice gets their dice. She shows us what she's got, and I'm like, wow, thank you so much, Sally. I will take all of them. most of the time.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So yeah.
So out of all the many designs you have, do you have a personal favorite, and why do you love that so much?
That is the most terrible question you could possibly ask someone.
Sorry.
Who is a dice collector / addict / dragon, okay? Worst question you could possibly ask. There is not any one personal favorite, unfortunately. I can't. But there have been very notable sets throughout the history of Phoenix Dice, of our 6 years that we've been around, that I've loved. Because people like us, we can't pick one. We can't. But I do have multiple sets of dice that I would definitely take with me if there was some house fire and I needed to get out of my house. So.
Do you have them in a special area that's easily accessible?
Well, okay. So the Phoenix Dice stuff are mostly currently in production. I do have a bag of all of my personal samples, meaning I keep a set of everything we've ever carried. We do have some sets that have been discontinued. due to lack of pigment or glitter or whatever. And that's all in one bag. Very easy to grab that and go. And I have a cupboard in my house where I display collector dice. So the ones that, like I mentioned before, are very valuable or rare. All I have to do is like sweep out that cupboard and I've got everything. So yes, absolutely. In case of an emergency, I can run away with my very valuable stuff.
Thinking about it, it's a good thing dice is relatively small and light to carry.
Yes, yeah, that was definitely a deciding factor of them, starting up this business period because they're so small and easy to ship.
So, my impression of your business is that it's in a very niche industry and it's specifically tailored to the tabletop and gaming community. How would you describe the role that community support plays in your business? And how do you develop that relationship with the gaming community?
It is a niche industry. It's definitely, I'm not selling clothes or shoes or something like that are, obviously needed by all for many, many reasons. This is definitely a passion project. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't love it, even though it is a relatively small percentage of people who even know about this community. But I must say that we nerds are very much united in our love for this. So online, on Facebook, on Discord, on various other social media platforms, you see a tremendous amount of community and support for each other. There's people who are running games for strangers. There's people who are, they support even artists who are designing or drawing portraits of characters. There are, of course, people who love dice, collect dice, and will support me because I'm also in the community. But I'm just in it. So I'm in a bunch of Discords and I'm around cracking jokes, laughing, having discussions, conversations. I play games a lot of the time. I am coming up very soon going to be in a live stream on Twitch on the Dungeon Scrollers channel. They're a great group of people. They're all writers, and I will be playing in one of their games. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm present in the community, which it's very organic in how it then supports the shop.
And do you have any memorable customer stories or feedback that really stuck with you?
Customers, they love telling me whether my dice rolled extremely high or very low.
I see.
Like the first thing when they say after they've received my dice is it rolled an 18 right out of the package. That's one of the things that's like the first sentence they message me back. So I guess it's a culture. It's a very niche nerdy culture thing to do is to roll the dice immediately after you get them. But yeah, can I give you my own story because it is actually quite remarkable, and it was playing with people whom were rolling my dice.
Sure.
So I'm involved in many Discord games, and in one of them, I was running this little cat tabaxi. Tabaxi being cat folk in the Dungeons & Dragons universe, and he's a barbarian, and what that means is he's kind of like frontline melee character. He does a lot of, smashing. So being the small tiny cat in this game, he's kind of an underdog. He can't fly, he can't do anything but use his hammer and kill things. So we were up against this flying, kind of like a dragon. It's called a wyvern. And it was circling around in the air. All of the people who could cast spells are doing a great job. And I'm like, just land. I need you to land. Because if you don't land, I can't do anything. I'm just standing here with my hammer. So I'm like, DM, where's the nearest tree? And he's like, there is the tree right over there. You can climb up it if you want. And I did, because I'm a cat. I do have a climb speed. And I'm standing in the tree. I'm like, someone else, bring him down here. And someone else managed to create a minor illusion, or it's an image of a giant piece of meat. And it worked as a lure. And in order to climb up the tree, I had to roll high to maintain my position in this spindly tree. And then to leap out of the tree onto this dragon, I had to roll high again. And I crit 20 that, which means it's the highest possible roll on the 20-sided die.
Cool.
So, yep, in order to land on the dragon, then to roll for attack, I had to roll again. And that was another 20 on the 20-sided die.
Wow, okay, that's amazing.
And then the way that the DM was running this game was that any crit 20 explodes, meaning you roll again, to see if it will continue into another high roll, which creates a lot more damage. And I rolled it again, and it was another 20. That was one of the only times I had ever seen 3 20s in a row.
That's insane. I mean, if you think about the chances of that happening.
Exactly. It's 5%, 5% or 5% or 5%, whatever that is. I'm terrible at math.
Wow. Okay, so you have lucky dice.
Yes. I definitely I think they love me as much as I love them. Actually, could I add something to the last question? I thought of something that's actually quite nice.
Go ahead.
So, occasionally I get a message from someone who runs a TTRPG or tabletop role-playing game program at, say, a school or a community center. And what they're obviously reaching out for is to see if we can help them with materials, because these are sometimes for people who have fewer resources and they can't perhaps afford to buy their own sets of shiny, sparkly dice in order to play these games. And of course, we love supporting people who are nurturing a love for this game, because this game, it is just a game, but it does nurture a lot of qualities in people that are wonderful. Cooperation, teamwork, the ability to face challenges and strategize on how to overcome them. And for children especially, it's a great way to socialize, sit around a table with real other people rather than being on a screen. And so we very much love supporting these school groups or community groups. And we've sent out a lot of free dice. Now, don't come for me, anyone who just wants free dice, because I will vet you. But but yes, we've received videos and pictures of these, students playing games with our dice, and it's very heartwarming. It's very moving to watch them have such a good time, whereas they might not have been able to participate.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. That's really heartwarming, like you said. And one other positive that your business is doing is you're focusing on sustainability. And
Yes.
you're developing a range of recycled or sustainable dice and accessories. So could you tell us more about this?
That is actually the other edge of the sword that I picked Phoenix, this specific name, for, is because I myself am, fighting the good fight. I'm trying to be environmentally conscious and sustainable. And I noticed that out there really are very few gaming accessories that are made from sustainable materials or made in a sustainable way. And that is something that we're putting money into research. This isn't something that's been done before. People really don't make dice out of sustainable materials. So I was hesitant to kickstart and make promises. And so we're just putting forth a small percentage of each of our sales towards researching stuff like, we've tried rice husks, we've tried ocean plastic, a few other, what the carbon powder from factory filtration, several materials. So far, unfortunately, nothing has worked to pass the drop test, which is what happens to dice all the time. And we're still going. We're still looking for materials that will be able to work for the project. I figure once we do happen upon exactly the right combination of materials to make dice that work, we're also not going to put a patent on it. We're going to open it up so anyone can produce dice this way, so that we can kind of begin that tide of change that needs to happen in every industry. That's known across all people, all industries, that we really do need to be producing and consuming more sustainably.
I suppose we could say that's one of the challenges that you're facing.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the challenges. Trigger warning for those who are very politically sensitive. I am going to talk some bad stuff about current political climates. So yes, fast forward if you don't want to hear that part. But the biggest challenge currently is the Trump administration, because as I mentioned before, 50% or more of my business is coming out of the United States. And the United States is where most of the material for these games is being produced in order for people to play them. Now, Trump's tariff situation has meant that the de minimis exemption, which is that people can ship in and out of the United States at less than $800 without taxation, that has been voided, which means that Taiwan specifically, the Postal Service has suspended all packages going into the United States. All of them.
Ouch.
Yes, only documents can pass through, but anything, even gifts and care packages, cannot be shipped to the United States. And that is until they can figure out exactly what's going on with the Trump administration's tariff policies. So currently, yeah, that's a huge chunk of our business that is currently on hold. A lot of the customers, they understand and they're actually spreading word to those they know internationally to support small businesses located outside of the United States. So we're seeing that as our largest hurdle as of yet. Hopefully it's resolved soon. Obviously, knock on wood, fingers crossed that if it's just a matter of tax, that they figure out how to apply that, because I'm sure a lot of people are very unhappy they can't ship birthday gifts to each other or something. So it'll open up. I have faith that it will. The Taiwan government will figure out how to get us back on our feet in that way. It's just a matter of long term, is it going to be this turbulent? It's not great that just recently we had the COVID pandemic. Phoenix Dice started up right before the COVID pandemic hit. And that was horrible. That would have been the largest hurdle until this tariff thing.
I'm sorry.
It's no worries. It happens. And I did see a lot of small businesses in the same industry shutter. They had to close down because they simply cannot cover all the expenses of running a business with reduced sales. And in my case, thankfully, I'm in a position where I don't have to worry so much. I don't pay anyone else. This is a very small business. It's just me and my significant other and my family that are doing this. So warehouse wise, I don't have to pay extra rent. And therefore, it's okay. We can sustainably hold this position for as long as it is required.
What was the mentality you had to be able to overcome these challenges? Like, for example, when you were dealing with the COVID situation.
I think everyone was in a holding pattern then, sometimes very literally stuck in their house waiting. It was scary. And I think the biggest mentality facet that I had dealing with it is that everything is temporary. And if I've been through cancer, I can get through this.
Okay.
And honestly, this is a passion project. At the time, I was like, even if it were to fail, I'm happy I did it because it's been fun the entire way. And connecting with all of these other nerds on the internet and watching them roll my dice, it's an honor, really. And I have no regrets.
And you just mentioned that Phoenix Dice recently celebrated its birthday. It's been 6 years. So, what keeps you motivated to keep doing this business?
I simply, as I've mentioned, an addict, and I wish to share my love of dice with everyone in the world. So that's the reason why we're still going, regardless of challenges and hurdles. And it's 6 years passed by really fast. That was unusually quick, as many people will probably be able to empathize with if they're doing, working on a passion project.
Looking back, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice before starting this business, what would it be?
One of the greater hurdle is the number of spoons that you really have for yourself. And what I mean by that, if you haven't heard the spoon analogy, is a lot of people get tired, fatigued, exhausted when it comes to having to put on a facade or to be in the community and constantly be upbeat and participate and answer questions, play games. It's very tiring. So I think the one piece of advice I would have given myself is to make sure to replenish my own spoons and my own energy, make sure I am caring for myself before overdoing it in the community, because that causes burnout and no one wants to do that on a passion project.
And speaking of advice, what advice would you also give to those who are looking into turning their passion and interests into a business?
So I do have to say, really super duper make sure that you love this thing. I don't know how you would make sure, but you got to really make sure that you love whatever this subject matter is that you want to turn it into a business. Because constantly having to think about your business, if you only kind of liked it, it's going to make you hate it, if that makes sense.
And before we end, is there anything else you would like to add?
I would say that for those of you out there who are kind of maybe on the fence about doing something, don't wait until there is a life-altering event, like a threat of death, to actually take those steps. Just do it. If you have the resources and you have the, you don't even need to know how to do it because you learn as you go. Just take that first step, and it's baby steps towards everything else, and you do wind up doing something that you really love. So that would be my final note.
So thank you, Michelle, for joining me today to talk about your business and to talk about your life. It was a very heartwarming and interesting
peek into both your personal life and also your business. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne.
This is Ching and Cho.
And Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.